Muted.
Look at that. What a great way to start off the show, ladies and gentlemen, with the mic button on mute. Like, I was contemplating whether I start off with Jay's "What's Good," but then I was like, if I do that, I'm gonna look like an idiot because I can't do it like Jay. Nobody can do it like Jay. But what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Straight Out of the Bay. We here with the crew. We got Kels, we got Jay, we got Baller. Unfortunately, I wish we could be sitting here on a Monday night talking about a 49ers W, but instead we talking about the Niners coming off of back-to-back losses. And the Niners didn't lose to the Rams A team yesterday. They lost to the Rams B team that was depleted with injuries. Not to mention they blew a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. But before we jump into all of that, how y'all doing? Let me start off with Jay because I mentioned his what's good. What's good with you, Jay? How you doing on this Monday evening?
What's good? What's good to everyone out there? Hey, I woke up this morning. What could be better, man? I'm with my bros talking 49er football. Hey, man, what could be better? It's we still got a long way to go, fellas. Long way to go. It's only week 3.
Who wants to hit it? Celts, Baller?
Hey, best by the blessed every day, man. That's just the way I roll. And hey, you know, it's another loss that was very similar to other losses. So that was tough. That was tough, especially owning the Rams the way we have. So, it's rough as a Niner fan, but life is good. Nice shirt too, Jay.
Hey, excellent. Made by someone a lot of talent. A lot of talent.
Man, that was a disgusting, disappointing loss. We're going to break it down, but hey, things could be worse. We could be Jacksonville Jaguars fans.
Well, speaking of things could be worse, some news came out today. If y'all haven't heard in the chat or the fellas, Javon Hargrave is out for the season most likely. What was it, like a torn pec labrum? I forgot what it was exactly.
It was triceps.
Yeah, tricep. He tore something, wasn't good. Kyle Shanahan said he's out for the season. On the other note, Christian McCaffrey as well is going to Germany to seek some medical information or something all the way in Germany with his like Achilles tendonitis and to see what's up with that, to see what he can, what help he can get over there down all the way in Germany. And then Brock Purdy had an MRI scan, which thank God it wasn't too serious. He should be available this week. There was nothing on the injury report of him, being out or questionable. But 3 interesting things happened today.
Looks like
we lost him.
The means loading. Hey, real quick, that Brock Purdy, the MRI, that was for his back soreness, right?
Yes, it was. And hey, just to even have to have an MRI, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
All the reports, hey, look, it was, McCaffrey's got a little bit of a calf strain. And, y'all have probably heard, the reports on the way the 49ers are reporting injuries, and everything seems a little iffy because I'm looking at Hargrave, right? We seen him do the same thing versus the Vikings. So there's some kind of, because it looks like, hey, maybe that happened to him in the Vikings as well. Maybe it was already kind of acting up. That's the way I seen it, because I joked around on Twitter. I was like, oh, man, maybe he pulled a hammy right there versus the Vikings, with the lack of effort. It wasn't just in the Rams game. So I just hope the 49ers are doing everything properly, because if that was something, you got to be honest about those kind of things. And, hey, hopefully he gets healthy. But what a blow to the defensive tackle room. They're already, we're 3 deep now?
Yeah.
You
look at Givens, Jordan Elliott. I imagine we have some guys on the practice squad. Have to look that up. But Hargrave arguably had his best game. I know you can pick through his game specifically and see the lack of effort on some plays, but he did force Stafford to throw an errant pass when he wasn't outside the pocket. It forced a penalty. He also did get a sack. Hargrave did have his best game. In my opinion. Was it perfect? No. But as far as getting after Matt Stafford, he definitely delivered, and it sucks. This possibly could be, dare I say, Hargrave's last game in a Niner uniform. I know a lot of Niner fans aren't impressed with what they've seen from Hargrave. And it'll be interesting to see if the Niners keep him. I would have to look up his contract details, but yeah, I'll do that now. Actually, let me see what's going on with Mr. Hargrave real quick.
Yeah, the Hargrave injury, I mean, it's disappointing. He's been disappointing in general, I feel like, in his Niners tenure. But that being said, I think he's better than some of the backups that I think are like Tevin Givens, some of these guys whose snap count is now going to go up. And then McCaffrey, it's like there ain't someone in the United States who can help you. Like this dude's got to go all the way to Germany. I don't know. That's making me nervous. I don't know how it makes you guys feel, but McCaffrey having to go continental, to seek advice on the Achilles isn't reassuring. And then, sorry, I missed it. You said someone's out with the back or had to get an MRI with his back. Who's
So
that?
Brock had some he had back soreness. I guess that was discovered after the game. Kyle Shanahan talked about it in a press conference. So they went and got an MRI on it. I believe did they have the test results from that, or they didn't say it was serious?
It wasn't serious. I don't think it was too serious. Like he's not gonna be questionable or out. But like the way that Brock was running yesterday, running around trying to pick up first downs and stuff, like I wouldn't, be surprised if his back was sore from all that running around he was doing yesterday.
And he was carrying the team, man. My back would be sore too if I was doing all I was doing yesterday to help the squad win. So yeah. What's good, Niner Game Podcast?
What's up? Yee.
Neon. Hey, I looked up Hargrave's contract real quick. I like looking up that type of stuff. And
we can get out of it. Tell me we can get out of it.
We can. Yeah, we can. But we'd have to do it post June 1st. If we cut him next offseason post June 1st, we would only owe him $7.3 million, and then you spread that out over 2 years, so $3.25 million, and we would save $20 million. So I would imagine either they ask him to take a pay cut, but hey, hopefully he recovers from that tricep. Real talk.
Did all y'all hit y'all points? Because I was, I forgot to charge my laptop and then it just died on me and all I saw was black and darkness like the 49ers yesterday. Like I was in the light and then lo and behold, a couple seconds later, it was just all darkness. And I was like, what just happened?
Happens to the best of us, happens to the best of us, man.
Did y'all hit all y'all points?
Yeah, we were just talking about Hargrave and Purdy and CMC. Yeah, that is crazy that he is going to Germany. I guess that specialist he's seeing knows everything you need to know about the calf, the Achilles. And I don't know about you guys, but CMC coming back this year, even if he does come back, I mean, it's still only September, but it just seems like less and less that he's going to come back healthy. Fortunately, we got Jordan Mason, but I think we're lacking something in the passing game without CMC being out there. But yeah.
I mean, in terms of CMC, his last fully healthy season where he's had two back-to-back were 2018 and 2019. And in that 2019 year, just like last year, he just had a crazy, monstrous year where he was like considered the best running back in the league, and he was going crazy for the Panthers. And he was like top 5 in top 100 voted list last year. And that same year, 2019, he was like, I think he was 5 or 6. He was 6, I think. But like he was top 10. But he was really great. And then in 2020, he got hurt. And then he was put on IR for 4 games. And then he came back. And then he got hurt again. And then he was put on IR for another 4 games. Then he came back. And he just was banged up that whole entire year. So like it's kind of a pattern I feel like with CMC at this point is like he'll have a great year, but that just takes such a toll on his body that like the next year he's just done. Like he's like, well, what you want to say?
He made sure he got that. He made sure he got some more guaranteed money though. He had to make sure he said, you know what, my calf's a little sore. You know what? Before I report, I'm gonna make sure the Niners add some more guaranteed money in that contract.
I mean, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, I guess. In terms of Hargrave, he's just been disappointing. But when you think about it, like as much as he had that one good year with the Eagles, Hargrave is like 30, 31. And when you really think about just that contract as a whole, like giving a defensive tackle who's like 30 plus years old that much money was like, is it like a 4-year, 84 million? Like that offseason, then we expected the Niners to sign nobody like that, like no big name free agent. It wasn't even in the cards for us, we felt like. And the Niners went out and their big swing move was Javon Hargrave, but like 30 plus years old, giving that much money to a 30 plus year old defensive tackle. I'm not saying that he's not a good player, but those clips that people were posting on Twitter yesterday of Javon Hargrave and the lack of effort, just the way that he was playing yesterday. Now it could have been, the torn bicep or the torn tricep.
That's what I'm hoping.
Right?
But
Like that's what I hope it is. But
even though if he's got some serious injury to his tricep,
Get off the
like
field.
he's got to be like, hey, you know
Yeah.
what? I can't help the
Get off
team
the
right
field.
now. Like get Kevin Givens in here.
Either
get
way,
Malik
no
Collins in
excuse.
here. Like
Yep.
if that's the situation, dog, then you shouldn't be out there if you're just gonna play patty cake, with the offensive lineman.
Because watching it live, it was I was keyed in on Hargrave because I wanted to see that push on running plays. So even on plays where it looked like, hey, we did well, people aren't going to look at those plays where we kind of did well. I'm locked in on Hargrave, and he's getting pushed back every run play. But the weird thing is he was flying off the ball. I mean, he was making instant contact. The second he makes contact, he's getting pushed back. It's like you could see him trying to fight for leverage, and it just wasn't happening over and over. And then maybe that is when he came out, because then we got to the goal line. I'm like, Hargrave, look, they ain't even putting him out there no more, and I'm watching Givens, I'm watching Elliott, and they're instantly at least holding their ground. And it just instantly looked better because that's where I was focused at, just watching it. And it's unfortunate.
Is it possible Hargrave got injured during the game? Like, I don't recall.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah, it had to be.
Him do it versus Minnesota too. So
Right,
maybe he was already nagging in Minnesota, and so I mean, one way or another, like Baller was saying, if you're that injured, you got to report it. You got to be responsible enough to say something, or if you're just not ready.
But then if he reports it, he's going to get called gutless by the media and by the fans. Oh, you make all this money and you won't go out there and risk it all on the line for your team.
But Jay, like I just like who? Okay,
hey, bro was, I mean, clearly just like give it. Like I mean, bro was standing there. I mean,
he looked healthy on that sack. That's for sure. He was. Hey,
he was not trying.
That's to like, yeah, this brother's healthy. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Watching Hargrave yesterday kind of reminded me of Albert Hainsworth in Washington. Like the lack of just like I don't care, whatever. Like that's what it kind of reminded me of. But if it was the torn tricep, like I still respect Hargrave for going out there and still trying to push and like try to play through it. But like if you can't, if you can't make the layups because you can't shoot the ball because you broke your right wrist, then like what's the point of being out there? Like if you're the point guard and you can't make passes or shoot the ball, or even make basic layups because your wrist is broken, like then you got to be like, coach, I can't help y'all. So like I got to come out the game, right? Because I'm not benefiting y'all. So I respect the fact that like maybe he try to push through and play through it, but if you can't go, like you're better off just letting the coach know and let someone else in who might be able to benefit the team or help the team than you in your current situation. All right, anything else y'all want to say on that topic, or you all want to move forward?
Yeah, we gotta move. We can move forward.
Let's move forward. All right. Well, we there's a lot of negatives in this game, but like let's start off optimistic a little bit. Let's start off on a positive side. Any positives from y'all from this game? Like any positives that y'all have from this game? I know there's not a lot. There's really not a lot. But before we dive into the negative, let's hit the positives first. Any positives?
I just want to hit a big picture positive. I don't want to take any players. We can all rave about JJ. Absolutely incredible, through and through. But just from an overall fan's perspective, I don't know. I've been trying to teach myself to watch the 49ers a little bit differently, just with, just trying to eliminate those feelings. And it was hella fun, man. It was a fun ass game. I know the ending wasn't the way, but I caught myself a few times during the game being like, I've been waiting to have like a fun game. And it started going back and forth, and it feels like every other play was being challenged, or every other play from both sides were big plays. And that's my biggest positive, was like it brought fun back. It felt good to watch Brock go to his strengths. Even though you want to keep him healthy, he's got to sort back. Hopefully it's nothing more. Hopefully it's not some weird concussion thing, or I kind of didn't like watching him do quarterback sneaks, but hey, if you're a quarterback in the NFL, you got to do it. Just last year in Minnesota where he almost got concussed doing a sneak, but overall, I thought it was a hell of a game. Horrible outcome, but yeah, man, that was my biggest positive, was just Brock Purdy slinging it, doing his thing, improvising, watching Brock go back to Brock.
No doubt. And I mean, Jawan Jennings, it sucks that we couldn't get Jawan a win after that performance. I mean, he was sensational, just mossing dudes, routing guys up. Like, I feel bad. My buddy texted me like, "Hey, should I play Jawan or T Higgins in fantasy?" Right? And I was like, "Jawan's good for like 4 to 6 catches." Right? I was dead wrong. 4 to 6 catches in the first quarter, or maybe 4 to 6 touchdown catches. But Jawan Jennings, it was awesome to see him ball out. Brock Purdy, I thought Brock was really good. Was he perfect? No, right? We know he missed BA running. Well, we're staying positive, but Brock was really freaking good. Most of his throws were on the money. He's buying time. He's running around. He's scrambling, getting back to some of that. Kyle's not a big fan of the backyard football kind of improv, because Kyle wants everything within the structure of his offense, right? Brock, you go A to B to C. But it's like, and Kelta spoke to it too. It's like, that's just what Brock does. Like, that's one of his strengths, is getting outside the pocket, wheeling and dealing. So we saw some of that. That was awesome to see. Really not. I'm looking at my positive list, and the negatives is way longer. But I'm gonna say I thought the guards played well. I mean, let me know if you guys saw something else. But I thought Banks and Pooney held up. I didn't see a ton of pressure coming in, from the guard spot. So I'll shout out those offensive linemen in the positive section.
Hey, just to piggyback on Jawan Jennings, I mean, he had one of the best games I've ever seen in a 49er uniform by a wide receiver. Like, you'd have to go back to like Jerry Rice for the amount of stats that he put up. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns in a game. Jerry Rice leads us with 5 touchdowns in a single game. Jennings is second to that. He also is top 10 now in the most catches in a game in a 49er uniform. So that's pretty incredible. And like Barry Baller said, man, it sucks that we couldn't get a victory for Jawan. He was so pissed he didn't even want to talk to the media after the game. But Jawan was making super acrobatic catches. We saw the one, I think it was in the third quarter, where he mossed a guy. And it was just good to see it was good to see Brock go to Jawan. We've seen Jawan have great performances in the Super Bowl. He's clearly the best wide receiver now for the 49ers until, BA gets his ish together. But yeah, man, Jawan Jennings, hell of a game. I thought Brock was hella good too. We saw the play where he was scrambling in the backfield, 20 seconds, running 150 yards. Those plays are always exciting to watch. Like Kelt said earlier, like that was fun to watch just from a fan perspective. Brock, I think he had 8 incompletions and 6 of those were drops. So you can imagine if those passes were caught. I mean, he damn near had a perfect game. He did have, we'll stick with the positive, but Brock's great to watch. I know a lot of the media was saying, well, Brock has to show he can play without the Avengers with him. So after watching this game, if you still have questions, you're never going to be a believer until, he puts that Super Bowl ring on his finger. But I think most Niner fans believe Brock is that guy. He is the future. He is the present future 49ers quarterback. And yeah, man, he's always fun to watch. So yeah, obviously JJ and Brock hell of a game.
What more does Brock gotta do to prove it to y'all? Like, I mean, 3 touchdowns, like 22 for 30, like pretty good completion percentage, 0 interceptions, no Christian McCaffrey, and like people can still say he has Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk is like not even last year. Like he is not even 50% of the Brandon Ayuk that we've seen in the past. He is what you would expect from a Brandon Ayuk that's missed training camp and that's missed the entirety of the preseason. That's the Brandon Ayuk that's on the field right now. And like Jawan Jennings, it's funny because I remember at one point Jawan, like he got drafted in the 7th round, and then I think at one point he was cut from the 49ers, and then they brought him back. But like Jawan Jennings, like that's like credit to Jawan Jennings, had an amazing game. But think about the Niners and how a 7th round draft pick is out here for the 49ers, putting up 3 touchdowns, 100 plus yards, 11, 12 catches. That Jennings had that catch where he mossed the defender and he just went up there and he snagged it. Like Jennings had himself a game. Brock Purdy had himself a game. And even Jordan Mason, like those are the 3 guys that I felt that were out there, that were hustling, and that actually wanted to like go out there and win the game, that were actually fighting. While the rest of the guys were just, we could have our discussions about them, but yeah, like enough with the Brock Purdy slander. He's a really good quarterback. He's a really freaking good quarterback. If it was Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott that did this against a crappy team, they would be like, oh my goodness, Dak Prescott 4 touchdowns against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Dak Prescott's ridiculous. But when Brock Purdy does it against the Los Angeles Rams, it's like without the quote unquote Avengers, it's like, all right, he didn't. It's still nothing to us. But nah, like put some respect on Brock. Credit to Jawan Jennings. And Jordan Mason, we'll see what happens with the Christian McCaffrey situation, but Jordan Mason, like, his stock is definitely up for me. And it was cool to see, even though he didn't have a crazy game, I'm still a huge fan and believer of JP, but even it was cool to see Garendo get touches. That's also positive, I feel like, because I thought knowing Kyle after that Minnesota game where he got that 1 carry, and Kyle would have been like, nah, dude, you're not ready for this system. You're not ready to be a running back in our system. But then Garendo got more touches this week, and I was like, all right, that's cool, Kyle. Like, it's not that bad if you give your players opportunities from time to time. So, yeah, I'm definitely happy that Garendo got some rep. That was cool from Kyle. You don't really see that often or at all with a rookie like Garendo, even with injuries. But it was cool that Kyle let him get some opportunities, even after what he did in his 1 carry against the Vikings. So that was another positive.
I wasn't too thrilled with what I saw from Garendo, but again, you're hoping, right? This is a young kid, so you're hoping the game's going to slow down for him. He's going to spot some holes, but really, you also got to give credit to the Rams' run defense, right? Like, I'm glad you're giving JP Mason some praise. The stat sheet wasn't his best performance, through these 3 games, but the Rams were loading the box. I don't know if you guys saw that as well, but the Rams were like, they came into this game saying, you know what, we're not going to let JP Mason beat us. We know Debo's out, Kittle's out. We're going to make Brock beat us with these secondary weapons like a Jawan Jennings. And Brock nearly did, but the Rams did a good job of loading the box and making it tough to run the ball.
That's for sure. We talked about the positives. There weren't that many in this game, but now it's time to move on to the negatives, which there wasn't a lot of positivity to take away from this game. There was a lot more negatives in this game to take away from, and it was just the Niners choked. That's just the simplest way to put it. 10-point lead, 4th quarter. Not the first time we've seen it. We saw it in the NFC Championship game with Jimmy Garoppolo also, where you had a 10-point lead going into the 4th quarter, and a couple of plays happen, and then you end up being down, and you're like, all right, now the Niners have to play catch up. Ronnie Bell, like, we'll talk about him in this segment, but you got the Kyle Juszczyk shirt on Baller, which I think is a fire shirt, so I'm going to kick it to you. What were your negatives from this game? Which there was a lot, but love the shirt.
Appreciate it. Kyle Juszczyk, not one of the negatives, not that I remember, but I mean, you got to start off with the special teams, guys. I mean, the special teams has been atrocious like for years. And it was absolutely abysmal yesterday. It was embarrassing. And you got to start off with the momentum shifting fake punt. I mean, it was a complete momentum shifter. Up until that point, Niners were dominating. Rams were doing nothing on offense. And that fake punt, man, I went back and I watched it, and they just out leveraged us. Like, I want to say it was like Chris Conley that was supposed to be setting the edge. Like, that doesn't sound like a good idea to me, right? They ran it right at Conley's side. They sealed him off, and they got the first down. Like, the alignment, I didn't like how the special teams aligned right there. And I'm sorry, I gotta get on the special teams. We know Moody, Amin's boy, missed the 55-yarder. Like, that's not a gimme, but it's like, how many times have we seen Moody choke in big situations, right? Whether it's the Browns game last year to win the game, or missing an extra point in the Super Bowl. Like, he's just
He made that same kick though in the Super Bowl. So it's like I don't know. I don't consider
Jay, and
that.
then Jay, don't get me started on Jake Moody because I get
It's the
heated when I
value.
think of him.
It's
Then he missed the extra point, Jay. He missed the extra point. Look at
All kickers do it.
It's where the 49ers drafted him for that 55-yard kick. They drafted him for that. So that's my gripe with it.
Thank you, Kels.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It wasn't like it wasn't short. It was just a little bit to left.
Jay, it's not even
it.
about. Go ahead, Jay. It's not even about the 50-yarder. Like, even going back to last year, like, we could say nerves and whatnot. The freaking Rams had like what, a fifth, sixth, even I don't even know if it's like undrafted, but he's a rookie also this year, and he drilled it. Like, he felt so calm, collected, and he just went right up the uprights. Like, it felt like he was an NFL veteran kicker. Like, the way that he kicked that last kick, what was his name, Joshua Carty or something like that. Moody's missing kicks left and right. And even if it's like consistent, right, like he might have a game like against the Jets, I don't trust Moody in the playoffs. I don't trust Moody when the game is on the line to kick a field goal from the 40. Like, I can't rely on Moody at all. And I said it last year also. I don't want this Niners team being in a playoff game or being in a situation where it's a must-win game and you're down by 3 or you need a field goal to go up and make it a double-digit lead like it was in this game, and you miss a field goal or an extra point. I can't trust you to do your job properly when you're drafted in the 3rd round as a 3rd-round kicker and you're not executing basic extra points and field goals. And this is a Super Bowl team. I ain't trying to lose like that because my 3rd-round kicker can't make a field goal.
No, that's fair. He's only
missed
one kick so far. I mean, it's been one. Yeah, granted, it was huge. It's a pressure moment. He should make it. He's shown in the past that he can make it, but there's no way. I don't think Moody lost us this game. I don't think so.
In 1990, you miss a 55-yarder.
One, but go ahead.
In 1990, you miss a 55-yarder, and it's okay. You know what? You had a slim chance of making it. It's 2024. Dudes are kicking 65-yarders and nailing them. Like, it can't happen. And then
he should make it. He's a pro. I agree. He definitely should make it. But
and that wasn't it. I wasn't specifically only getting on Moody. I'm getting on special teams as a whole because the whole thing is just a disaster, and it has been for the Kyle Shanahan regime. Like, he can't get the special teams coordinator right. And the last gaffe was the long punt return at the end of the game, right? Wishnowski, I didn't have my stopwatch out, time in the hang time, but I don't think there was very much hang time on it. And then you had Malik Mustafa, who's the gunner, which, like, okay, sounds good in theory because, like, he is pretty fast. He is pretty strong. Like, it sounds good. But I'm telling you what, if the Niners had kept this DB around by the name of Sam Womack was awesome on special teams. Like, you can say what you want. He didn't get a ton of looks, I feel like, as a DB. But when he was a gunner, like, the dude made plays. He's down in balls inside the 5, it felt like, routinely. I thought it was a mistake having Luter over him, active in the Super Bowl. Luter blew it. And then it just kind of cropped up on that last long punt return. Mustafa took a bad angle at him, and anyway, they didn't set the edge there. Like, I saw Chapman kind of break it down. and guys are running out of their gaps. There was a huge gap to the right, and that's where the punt returner took it, went up the sideline. And it's just there's just so many mistakes on special teams, and I'm sick of it. Okay.
You made
Jay,
me
you're up.
you made me realize that, or could I go next? Let me piggyback.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Please, 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 please.
You made me think of something. You brought it all together for me, baller. I think we just heard someone. I don't. I know I heard it. I know they said, "Hey, on special teams, we want them to just like not lose the game." I don't know if y'all heard that. Like I know I heard it somewhere. I'm pretty sure it was today. Special teams, we just don't want you to lose the game. And that's not just the special teams identity. What is the defense? What have we said about the defense for the past couple years? Bend, don't break. Like kind of bend, don't break. We're going to give them a certain amount, but just don't break. And then on offense, Kyle kind of feels like that same mentality. Just don't lose it. Why do you think teams come back on us on 10-point leads? Like every big game, teams are able to go deep on us. And typically we're not able to go deep. It looks like Brock Purdy's kind of changing that narrative a little bit more so than in the past, but it feels like part of the 49ers identity is to play to not lose. We've all spoke on it. It feels like almost every loss, it feels like it reverts. Kyle talks about quarterbacks will revert back to their original mechanics. I feel like that's what Kyle does. He might start to learn something, start to trust something, and then he reverts back to his original play not to lose mentality. And look at it like this. Even if they're so-called only doing that on special teams, that's 1/3 of your team that's playing lukewarm. So it's like you're already in a sport and in a game where you need to play to win. I mean, just that mentality, it sounds kind of weak. It feels like there's always some excuse. There's always someone to blame. I mean, there's quite a few things. The special teams, um, the run defense, you know, um, Colton McKivitz, Jake Brendel. I mean, number 88 was getting run. Who's that? Tonjes? I was looking. Why is 88 on the field, but 19 can't get on the field? You guys talked a lot about Cowing over Bell, Jay and the Bay on the last show. Cowing over Bell. I think everybody took turns on it. I was like, hey, it's going to be Mike Conley. We're going to see the veteran. And I think it was, Kyle went straight in the middle with Ronnie Bell right before the game. I was like, hey, week 3 last year, Bell did catch that touchdown versus New York Giants. Maybe that is the guy that's going to come in and do something, but it just feels like there's a lot of things that us fans that don't know shit, we'll be preaching and preaching, and then it comes out later on that a lot of those ideas were right. I don't know if Kyle needs to get Twitter or whatever he's got to do, because
he needs to watch us.
Man, bro, it's just some of the things that he does, and I'm not the only one. It's getting a little bit louder, but it's like Nick Sorensen. This was his 3rd game. Kyle's been here for 8 years. That's all I got to say about that.
Do you put this loss on Kyle?
Huh? He is the head coach, man, and it's a very similar loss.
The buck stops with him. Yeah.
Right about now, it's like it's too familiar. It's too it's the same way, of the biggest losses, the NFC Championship versus the Rams, the 2 Super Bowls of it. Now I went back and watched, all the games versus the Chiefs, actually, because in my mind, I'm like, hey, if we get to the end, it's going to be versus the Chiefs or a team that is probably just as good as them. They're probably going to have the deep ball in their arsenal. And can we defend that? I started doing research. Every single one of those games, we got beat by the deep ball and we couldn't connect on the deep ball. And until we can stop it or, convert our own, unless Brock, really gets in his groove and he's able to duel with the best of them, it's going to be a rough season, y'all.
Hey, you mentioned the secondary. And when Sideline Steve was here last year, this defense was humming, at least statistically. They were pretty good. Also in the Super Bowl, the first half, Sideline Steve had this defense playing pretty well. Sorensen is probably going to take some time for him get used to the role, play calls, and things like that. But I know we always talk about the coaches, but sometimes it's up to the players. Not sometimes. I mean, it's 90% the players. They have to go out there. They have to execute the game plan. They have to make plays. If you're a Mooney Ward, I mean, what does Tutu Atwell do well? He's fast, right? So if you're already back 12 yards from the line of scrimmage, why are you letting Tutu Atwell get to your hip before you start running? Like, I don't know if that's coaching. Mooney Ward is a vet. He's in a contract year. He wants to get paid this offseason. Like, a secondary coach shouldn't have to tell you, hey, Tutu Atwell, that cat can fly. He's fast. So you don't let him get on your hip. Is that coaching, or is that, Mooney Ward just looking in the backfield or looking at the receiver next to Tutu and not paying attention to Tutu because he ran right by him? Like, is that coaching? I mean, you expect your best player in that scenario to be heady, to think, hey, what do the Rams want to do? They're trying to go deep. Let me guard Tutu Atwell. Let me not let him get past me. Like, so we talk about the coaches, but sometimes, I mean, the players, like Devondre Campbell, the penalties. You should know, hey, I can't cover. Let me give this tight end that I'm guarding. Maybe give him a little bit more space and run quicker. And that way I don't have to hold him to get a penalty. Yadam I think he had at least 2 penalties that I saw. And looking at the
Yadam off the field. Get Yadam off the field.
Yeah. And that's another thing. So Yadam should be cut or bench, right? So you put someone else in and you have to give them the opportunity to play. But that's the thing I can agree with coaching, where it's like, well, when is enough? When have we seen? I'm sure as a fan base, we've seen enough of Ronnie Bell.
What?
He had 2 opportunities. He didn't convert in either one of those opportunities. So why not bring up Terrence Marshall? Why not give Chris Conley those routes? Like, I don't know.
This exact same thing happened last year. This is why I come back to Kyle. You just switched the name and put a different person in. Last year, it was Isaiah Oliver. We're saying so it's like same shit, different toilet. Is
that coaching, or is that just the guy?
It's Kyle's script. It's both. It's both, because what you said is right too. The players got to do what the players got to do, right? But we don't know exactly what coverage they were in. We don't know exactly what it's like. We don't know all the intricates, but the overall picture, it's got to be Kyle, right? And then of course there's going to be a whole bunch of details we can nitpick and kind of but you're right though. Like, Mooney's got to be on top of his game. Campbell's got to, like, that was a horrible pick with Campbell. Why not go with someone maybe a little bit more agile in today's? Maybe they're trying to compensate with Campbell because they know
it seems like they just wanted a veteran. They wanted a veteran back there.
Yeah, they struck out on, who was it? Hendricks?
Eric Hendricks.
Yeah. And then,
he was the original. Yeah.
Even so, it just shows how important Dre Greenlaw is. But at the same time, if we're only one Dre Greenlaw away for it to kind of have this big of a slip, we're in trouble. Like, where's our depth at? We don't got Farrell, Arden Key. We don't got like a whole 4 other linemen that we know are solid. It feels like we'd typically be 8 deep, and we know we got a second group that's going to come in and give that same effort and push, and they're hungry. And we definitely, it used to be our strength, that 7-man front. And it feels like it's gotten weaker and weaker and weaker since probably Buck is left. Like at the peak of the defensive line, it was when it was Buck, Armstead, young Bosa, not Bosa trying to show off his action figure moves, but actually producing on the field, setting the edge, not just the sacks. Be that presence, be the highest paid defensive player in the league, and look like it.
Yeah.
The 4-man front, it has been figured out. It's like, it feels like our pressures have just been declined, the sacks declining. The 4-man pressures had it figured out. And then Kyle, one of my criticisms of him is he needs to be quicker to like adapt in game. Okay, like Brandon Ayuk drops a pass. Okay, he's staying in the game. Obviously, he's built up that equity Brandon Ayuk, when he's right, he's a stud. But Ronnie Bell, before the big drop that he had at the end of the game, dropped a gimme earlier in the game.
Yeah.
So it's like when Ronnie Bell drops that first pass and it hits him right in the chest and he drops that one, I'm saying, you know what, next man up. Whether it's
he doesn't have it, right?
Cowan, you know what, Ronnie Bell, I gave you Ronnie Bell hasn't built up that equity.
Dude, how was 88? How was 88 split out and not counting? I don't.
And we talked about that before the game. Where is Cowling?
Y'all talking about the penalties.
Y'all
were harping on the penalties.
Yeah.
Like almost everything that kind of, I was the one that said, hey, we're going to lose. I was brave enough. I tried to talk myself out of it, but y'all.
I thought you were crazy, but you were right on the money.
You were right on the money. Hey, I like what Roberto said.
I still am crazy.
He said Sorensen had a good game plan. The execution was poor. They took advantage of DFF. I know you guys saw DFF get eat up by the turf ghost. I don't know what the hell that was.
Oh, yeah.
When is enough? We know DFF, hey, you a special teams ace, but when the Niners go 3 linebackers, hey, DFF is in there, but that's not his specialty, especially against the run. So the teams are seeing that and they're taking advantage of it, and the Niners are doing the same thing over and over. They're not making any changes, and that's why teams continue to exploit it. DFF in run fits and Campbell in coverage.
Did he go for the tackle and the dude just never went to it? Like, I'm trying to remember it.
I know he must have slipped and fell over the ant. That's all I can see, because I don't know how that happened, but that was embarrassing.
The ghost of Darnold stuck around. It ain't with Darnold no more.
Hey, I wanted to mention something real quick. So what is it? Fourth quarter. I think it's the second to last drive. I think it's second down, and Brock Purdy, I think he threw to Ronnie Bell. Obviously, he didn't come down with the pass, but okay, if you're Brock, I know you want to throw the ball all around the field, but Ronnie Bell, I think that moment is too big for him. Clearly, he missed the pass earlier in the game. He missed that one. You have Juwan Jennings underneath running a similar route. Yeah, there's a guy draped on him, but Juwan Jennings was making contested catches all game. Why not give Juwan Jennings that opportunity? He had a hell of a game. He's the hot hand. Why not, if you're Brock, continue feeding the hot hand and let Juwan Jennings cook, because we know what he can do. Part of me wants to say, don't put Ronnie Bell in that situation. That could be Kyle. Don't put him out there. Or that could be Brock. Don't give him that opportunity. But he is a professional. He's out there. He has to contribute some way. But I don't know. Looking back at that,
Brock's got to throw it to underneath. Who's open. Brock's got to throw it to who's open.
Yeah.
Both receivers were covered. I mean, both of them.
Ronnie Bell, I thought he was open, and not only that, the DB was not paying attention, was not looking back. He had no idea where the ball was, and they teach quarterbacks, if the DB's head's facing the other way, you can throw it right at him because he doesn't know where the hell the ball is at. I think Brock made the right play in that situation, in my opinion. Ronnie Bell's out there. That's who your coach put out there. You give him a shot. Unfortunately, Ronnie wasn't ready to step up to the plate.
Yep.
After watching this game yesterday, I felt like Twitter Kells after the Super Bowl. Like, I was not feeling it, but I still have that same energy. Like, looking at this game, you guys mentioned the special teams, which has been garbage. We've switched coaches from Robert Hightower to Brian Stewart Schneider. No difference. It's literally the same thing. We thought it was the coach. It's not the coach. Special teams has been bad. Jake Moody, like we've talked about it. Third round. We drafted him in third round. He can't make, even though like he has good games, but I'm still not confident in him making it when it actually matters. What's up, Jay?
Real quick, without Moody, we could be 0-3. I mean, he 6 of 6, in that first game.
Jay, I'm not saying that Moody didn't come in clutch in that Jets game. Like, I'm not saying he doesn't have his moments, but that also doesn't mean that I trust Moody in a game on the line, down by 3 or up, we need to go up by 10. Like, I don't trust Moody to make the kick when it matters. Like, if I trust Moody to make the, shots before the game, but when we game on the line, he has to hit 2 free throws to put us up. I don't trust Moody to make those 2 free throws when it actually matters. That's my issue with Moody. Not that he's not that he can't make field goals or he can't have good games, but when it matters, can you make those 2 crucial free throws to win the game or put you up by 10 or to make you comfortable? I don't trust Moody to do that. And I don't want this Niners season to get thrown away because Moody misses a kick down the line or down the stretch. Special teams, that at the end of the game, that punt, like Wisnowski, what was that punt, number one? But number two, like, what was the coverage on that? Like, we literally let a guy, like, guys are diving, and, like, it was just a bunch of missed tackles. It was just sloppy. The fake punt sloppy. The defensive line, no excuse. The Rams had 3 or 4 of their starters on the offensive line injured, and y'all still can't get pressure? Y'all still can't get pressure on a bunch of backup practice squad offensive linemen that the Rams brought up for this game. And the defensive line, Leonard Floyd, y'all give money to. Nick Bosa, y'all gave money to. Nick Bosa got shut down by Alaric Jackson, who, like, he got a bag, this year, but, like, is Alaric Jackson a Pro Bowler? Is he like Lane Johnson or something all of a sudden? Like, nah, you got shut down. Nick Bosa's stat line wasn't even a pressure. It was like 0 sacks, 1 pressure maybe. Like, it was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. Defensive line garbage. Defensive backs played like garbage. The offense did their thing, right? Brock Purdy, Jawan Jennings did their thing. But the huge issue with this team right now is this team has no identity. This team doesn't know what they're doing on offense. Some games they throw the ball a lot. Some games they decide to stick to the run. Sometimes they abandon the run completely. Like, looking at that drive in week 2 drive against the Vikings, Kyle comes out all passing. And then against the Rams, he comes out, he has the balance of running the football. He gives the ball to JP, but the offense has no identity. The defense has just been atrocious so far. And the special teams have just been bad, regardless of who we make regardless of the coaching changes that we make. So the years in the past, even when the Niners do have these losing streaks, we can at least say, hey, don't worry, we still have the best defense. We have a top 5 defense in the league. Or don't worry, like, the offense of Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy, like, we'll still be fine. There's nothing fine about this team. The defense, from like a top 5 defense in the past couple of years, even when we do go on losing streaks, has now dropped down to like a top 15 defense. I think they're like 15th in the league. So this team has no identity. And unlike the years in the past, there's not one position group that you could say offense, defense, special teams where you're like, I trust them to do their job. Even if we go, even if we're struggling, like, I trust them. I know that our defense will be fine. I know that our offense will be fine. Like, this team has no identity. Offense, defense, special teams, all have just been, like, offense had a good game, but this team lacks identity. And even if we do go out and we beat the Patriots and we blow them out, but then when you play a team like the Chiefs or the Cowboys or whatever, but when you play the teams like the Chiefs or the Bills in the playoffs or even the Super Bowl, right? Like, this is a Super Bowl or bust team. I don't trust this team. Like, there's nothing offense, defense, special teams that, like, I have faith in. Like, I lack confidence in all 3 right now because sometimes they do their job and sometimes they don't. They are complete no-show.
In regards to the defensive line, is it safe to say that Chris Kasarik has lost his magic? I mean, we used to tout him as this great defensive line coach. He could, get Hyder a contract from Seattle. He could just take guys off the street and he would just will them to get sacks. And it seems like that's no longer the case. Bosa last year was saying, I should say the 49ers defense last year was saying, sideline Steve, he needs to come from the booth. We need him down. We need we need him to look us in the eye when we're on the sideline, when we're going over plays and things like that. And then also Bosa was saying last year, we weren't prepared. We didn't know what the offense was. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. We didn't know what the offense was going to attack us with. We weren't prepared. It's up to the coach, yada, yada, yada. Well, I never hear TJ Watt say stuff like that. Like, I never hear Myles Garrett say stuff like that. I know their scheme probably contributes to their success, but I've never heard any other Hall of Fame DPOY player ever say something negative about a defensive coordinator. Like, just beat the man in front of you, Bosa. Like, it's just that simple. Beat the man in front of you. Now, I would like to see, maybe they should rotate Bosa, move him to the other side of the defensive line. Maybe move him in the middle sometimes, move him around. I think maybe that would invigorate him. Maybe that would help him. But the other top pass rushers, I never hear them talk about that. And they're still producing. Bosa is not. We hold him to the highest standard, and he's not meeting it. And I think this line is as successful as Bosa is, especially now with Hargrave gone. I mean, Bosa, where you at, man? We need to see more.
But there changes need to happen because we're not getting pressure. The 4-man front, like we line up with our 4 down linemen, and there's no threat. Like there's no 5th or 6th threat of a potential blitz. So it's like the O line knows what they're gonna get. We got to mix in some curveballs, some change ups. Like let's get Fred Warner up by the line of scrimmage. Devondre Campbell, who even though he looks slow as dirt, Kyron. I don't know if you guys heard after the game. You know they're talking to Kyron Williams, and they're on the touchdown pass where Kyron ran that Texas route. Devondre Campbell's guarding him, and what Kyron said post game was alarming. He said, "We got the look that we wanted. You know, the guy that was covering me, I knew I was going to beat him. Stafford knew I was going to beat him." And that's that. You're talking about that Texas route that went for a touchdown. I think that's when he did the flip, right? So
right.
Campbell's a liability. Not only is he getting roasted there, you know, he got roasted up the sideline, you know, couldn't find the ball, defensive pass interference. Like I would say, hey, let's play D Winners, but he tweaked his ankle.
Yeah.
I would say, hey, let's see what Jalen Graham's got. Oops,
but he got cut.
Yeah, we cut him.
The baller.
There's Tatum Bethune, but they say he's not good in coverage. They just say he's a 2 down, 3 down thumper.
But Jay, like we
how
have
many tests?
Go ahead, Kels.
How many tests do these rookies gotta pass, man? Like I mean, at some point, man. I mean, Willie Snead didn't seem like a kind of dude that would just like do it moving and just like he just didn't seem like the kind of guy that would just say nothing for no reason. But he was like, Kyle don't play the best players. You know, I interpret that he has his favoritisms and he has his system and he wants it to be the way he wants it. And he just came out and said, well, Coween still has a lot of work to do, something along those lines and yada, yada, yada. And, you know, who knows? I mean, Danny Gray might be garbage. Danny Gray might be spectacular. I mean, it took how many years to see freaking Jawan Jennings' full potential? And, you know, it's, hey, did y'all remember when Klay Thompson had 60 points and the only one that could hold him back to get anything else was Steve Kerr to not play him in the fourth quarter? I mean, that's what's happening with Shanahan. He's always seemed to have had trust issues and they have to do certain things in the playbook and they have to master. It's sometimes the best way to know how to swing a hammer is not reading about it. It's swinging the damn hammer. You know, you can read about it all the hell you want, but until you grab that thing and get your wrist action and, you know, put the hammer on the nail, you know, you're not going to really know how to do it. So, I mean, at some point you got to see if they have the jitters or if they're made for this. We might not have known if Brock Purdy,
I got one more negative I wanted to touch on, and it was the way the Rams beat us. Oh, sorry, Kelts. We lost you there for a sec.
Is it just me that's cutting out?
Yeah.
It was that time.
It was just a few seconds.
Okay. But what pissed me off was the way the Rams beat us. And what I mean by that is they out-physicaled us, right? The Rams came out. Sean McVay's known for running like this 3 wide receiver offense. No. They switched it up. They ran a ton of 2 tight ends and just ground and pound. Like, even though you look at Kyron Williams' yards per carry, it was only 3.7. But guess what? It was 24 carries. Like, on the flip side, Jordan Mason only carried it 19 times. Kyron, 24 carries for the 89 yards. And it was physical. It was rugged. Like, I did not think the Rams would come out and out-physical us, especially being depleted along the offensive line. That was alarming. I think that kind of switching game plan for Sean McVay kind of caught the Niners off guard. Like they were expecting, oh, it's going to be a heavy DB game. You know, we got to have these DBs ready. And no, it was 12 personnel, 2 tight ends out there. And a lot of time it was running it with Kyron. And then it was, hey, let's take some shots down the field, right? That was the Rams offense. And it worked well enough to get him a win.
Yeah, we're not the bully anymore. Jimmy Ward isn't coming down, crashing down on someone in the run game anymore. Hopefully Dre Greenlaw makes a big impact because he was our thunder. He is our thunder on defense, man. He is our thumper. We would kind of talk about him like Debo on offense. Even if he's not blowing up in the stat line, he just brings a presence. That borderline, he's the Draymond Green on that defense, and maybe his impact is really just that big. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's clear this team definitely misses, his fire, his passion. I think Fred has the same, but I think Greenlaw's a little bit more physical. But I think this team definitely misses that. And you look at the guys. I mean, I like that I saw Huff out there. I didn't see a huge impact from him, but he's just coming back, one game from his torn ACL. Obviously, he had no training camp. But it's good to see him back, but maybe he can blitz a little bit. Maybe he can try to get pressure on the quarterback. We know that he plays best around the line of scrimmage, but the frustrating part about watching the Niners is when guys make mistakes, they're professionals, right? But in Kyle's head, I mean, Ronnie Bell dropped that pass right in front of Kyle. I'm sure you guys all saw the sideline picture. Everyone was just like, it's like, so in Kyle's mind, is it, oh, he just had a bad game, we're going to give him another opportunity? That's what it seems like. And we would just want, like, you studied, you drafted Cowling, but you won't give him an opportunity. Why?
But Jay, real quick, Jay, what pisses me off about that, it's not, we could have the discussion all day about whether he should have put in Cowling. But I still remember this because I was a huge Demo fan from day one. Like, I like when he was on the team and when he got opportunities, I was a huge Demo fan, right? And I thought he did good. Demo messed up because Aaron Rodgers like tricked him a little bit with his eyes on the touchdown. He throws a touchdown and Demo wasn't in right coverage, and he didn't play another snap the entire season, except for like the end when I was in Niners secured a playoff. So I don't remember exactly, but I don't think he played. Like, he didn't play that much. Kyle pulled him out the game. Ronnie Bell's dropping slants. Like, he dropped a slant pass. And even last year, he would do stuff like that. So, like, Kyle, it's not that, okay, rookies screw up and we take them out. It's that when certain rookies screw up that you don't necessarily prefer, like, you're out of there. But if it's a guy that you like or that you drafted or that's one of your guys that I think Ronnie Bell might be, he could screw up and it's like, all right, we'll give you more opportunities, Ronnie Bell. So it's not necessarily a confidence thing or Kyle trusting his rookies or not. It's that Kyle, if Kyle likes you, you have a longer leash with him. And if Kyle doesn't like you, rookie or non-rookie, if Kyle doesn't like you, you're out of there. Like, Demo played good in that first season, and he's a stud for us now, but, like, he could have played that first year, but we put out Ambry Thomas, who kept getting cooked. And Kyle kept putting Ambry out there when Demo got tugged. But with Ronnie Bell, he could make, even going back to last year, he would drop wide open passes and drop slants and drop easy catches, but Kyle continues to give him opportunity. So what is it, Kyle? Like, what are you basing it off of?
Is it maybe he feels like that player is that much better? Maybe it's practice. I don't know what it is.
John Lynch seems to be pretty fond of Jacob Cowing because he was making it sound like he was going to get some pretty decent run. I was like, oh, that's what's up. Like, hey, I'm glad I was wrong on that. Hey, I love you, Chris Conley, but at the same time, hey, let's see Cowing. It feels like it's almost a rebirth of Danny Gray. We waited a few years to see Gray. The Niners are cool off of 4.3 speed. They don't know how to,
they don't need it.
Doesn't know how to utilize it. And even if he does he really want to score that easy, or would he rather go 10 plays and show how he broke something loose on some crosser and look at me, I'm Shanahan, hate me all week because I didn't play Cowing. It's a part of the system. stay tuned. All eyes on Shanahan. He finds a way, man. He's brilliant at it. A lot of our talk is a lot of my talk is surrounded by him. Uh, man,
I know all of us are pretty in tune, like in training camp, staying up to date. What's the latest? What's going on? I didn't hear once like, "Hey, Ronnie Bell was awesome today. He was cooking dudes." Like, I didn't hear that once. Like, am I missing something here? Like,
yeah,
why does Ronnie Bell have all this leash,
It didn't
to get
happen.
these
That's
ops?
why.
And it's
Yeah.
that's what I'm like.
maybe they're
Ronnie Bell,
friends.
like Krug
They could
was
be
saying Ronnie
friends.
Bell should be cut. And now I like where Krug's head's at. Krug's pivoted to saying we need to see Terrace Marshall. He's going by counting and going to the former
Mor-
LSU stud,
And and
former
and
Mordecai.
that's a great point. But another thing that we're not as fans privy to is, does Terrence Marshall know the playbook? Does he know it enough to Shanahan's satisfaction? We have no idea. He's been in
Jay,
camp for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, right? Like, he
I
has
mean,
to satisfy. Well, first he has to
it's been
satisfy
at least like 3
Leonard
weeks, three,
Hankerson,
4
the wide
weeks
but
now.
receiver coach.
Cowing does.
Hey,
But Cowing knows the system. So like, what's the whole excuse?
Do we? I mean, I would hope he would. We have no idea.
But Jay, let's be
mean-
real here. Let's be real here. Would you rather have a guy that might know the system somewhat and not better than Ronnie Bell, like a player like Ronnie Bell? Would you rather have a guy like Jacob Cowing, who I somewhat at least have more confidence in of coming down with those catches or even making a wide open slant pass, or have a guy that knows the system but that's dropping balls left and right?
I would love for Kyle to scheme up 5 to 10 plays for Cowling. I would love for that. And just say, hey, when I call out this play, you run out there and let's see if we can get you the ball. That's what I would love to
that's
see.
a great idea.
But Kyle, he could have that on his laminated sheet. He could have that. Maybe he didn't find the time to put him in. Maybe I don't know. Like, we don't. There's
Man,
so
he
much.
split out. I mean, he was over
Don't
there
know.
splitting out. How do I pronounce his last name? Tongans? Is it, or
Fungus
Tonjes?
or something. Yeah.
Tonjes. I mean, he was split out. I want to go see how many times he was out there and why he was split out. What?
Yeah.
You know what? It doesn't even matter. I don't even care about the design. I don't care about the complications. Like, if you are this good and if you are putting in the work, you can dial up a package like you were saying, Jay. You can dial. Hey, give them one end around the first game just to see, just to maybe blow off some butterflies. Give him one end around one game. The next game he does good with the end around. Hey, give him a little flat, throw something out to just get the ball in his hands, see what he does. Like, why not? Why the like why not? What is the worst that can happen, Kyle? Oh, he got blown up and fumbled. His career is over. Like come on, bro. This is like you're playing to not lose in every aspect. Like, but it's like who are you protecting, yourself or the team? Are you doing it? I'm kind of confused because
I would love to see Kyle give guys a chance.
It all
Just give
seems
them an
very,
opportunity. That's all they need.
it all seems very contradicting, and it's got to be more than what it is or less than what it isn't. And it's just that it's getting old. It's the well is running dry, and it looks like he's losing part of the locker room. I know it's just speculation, but what about when Brandon Ayuk was signed? I guess Kyle had to run up there to go tell Jed, don't trade him to Pittsburgh or whatever. CMC, little stuff with CMC or Juice was upset that he had to take a pay. I feel like there's a little bit more. You can see it. This team isn't fighting the way they used to. You could attribute it to the Super Bowl loss. Whatever it is, they ain't fighting the way they used to. But it wouldn't surprise me if they go rip off 8 straight wins or, go 10-2 in the next whatever.
But Kels,
But I feel like it's still going to come back down to Kyle's something.
But
Whether
Kels
it be
doesn't matter.
trust.
Like Kels doesn't matter though at this point, because we've seen them like have that run where they'll have a couple of games where they go on that losing streak, and then they'll end up like winning the next 5 out of the 6, or they'll go on a winning streak, and then come Super Bowl time or come playoff time,
Yeah, that's what
I'll
I'm
make
saying.
stupid decisions. So like at this point, like I haven't witnessed a Niners Super Bowl in my lifetime. I've seen them come close so many times, and I haven't witnessed it. At this point, I don't care if we go 15-2. I don't care if we have a first round bye. I don't care if Christian McCaffrey comes back fully healthy. I don't I have very little confidence in this team to go out and win a Super Bowl. That's just me. Like, as much as this team is talented, I just don't believe in Kyle. It's not that I don't believe in the team. I just don't, seeing the pattern over and over and over again. Like, what is Kyle doing differently? What is the team doing differently? I still see the team come out with their boombox and like, y'all are getting blown out. Like, y'all are losing to the Rams B team.
That's a good question. Is there anything just glaring that Kyle has improved on in
What's
8 years?
improved that I could sit up
Is
here
there anything?
confidently?
What has Kyle gotten better at in 8 years?
I feel like
it would
this
be hard
year,
for me to think about it.
this year, he's definitely more aggressive on fourth down. We've seen him go for it. That's what we've wanted to see. He's definitely been more aggressive on fourth down. Hasn't always worked, but that's something that I've seen. But it's not a lot. It's not a lot. But we started that game. It was 14-0. Like everything changed. Baller mentioned earlier, the fake punt. Like the defense was on point, the offense was on point. Fake punt happened, and then it was basically, and we still had a 10-point lead.
One fake punt is all it took. Was remember
that was all she wrote.
I used to talk about the twig and the spokes. Typically, it takes a good strong stick to make you flip over handlebars, but no, sometimes it's a little bit of dirt in the grease, and
but also you add everything up. Hargrave's out, Kittle's out, Debo's out, CMC's out. Like, you add all that stuff up, we can't afford to have 7 penalties for 100+ yards. Like, we can't afford to give up a fake punt. Like, we can't afford to have a all-pro corner basically get burnt by someone whose best asset is his speed. Like the top dollar guys, they have to perform their best. BA for his pay and his stellar performance we've seen in the past, it's like a failing grade. Like 10 targets, 5 catches. Like, come on, bro, that's not good enough. Trent Williams needing an IV the second game straight because he didn't want to come to training camp. Like, because you want more money. Like, come on, man. Like, to me, that's not on the coaches, that's on the players. Bosa not having, he needs to be, all pro DPOY. That's the type of performance we need to see. You look at the top guys yesterday, who outside of Brock, Jennings, I don't want to talk about Fred. The impact wasn't the same as we saw in Minnesota. And I'm not saying we lost the game because of Fred. I'm just saying the top dollar guys, they didn't play their best when we really needed them to. I mean,
Debo said they're full. Hey, Debo said it. We're full.
And that's another thing we always talk about. Debo said, "Oh, we've been the best team for the past." I mean, I don't want to hear that, dog. Like,
it don't mean play without the ring. It don't play without the ring.
And
that's the problem. The players think, some of them, we've already won, and we ain't won nothing. Like,
hey, get off the podcast,
right?
Debo.
No, Kyle. This stems from Kyle, I believe. I think Kyle feels like he is that genius. People always, man, I get in the film room with Kyle, man, and oh my God, I ain't seen nothing ever like it. And then he gets on the field and chokes away freaking leads in the biggest games over. Hey, I don't care what, you've never seen nothing like it in the film room. Man, John Lynch, he just said not too, I put a little video together. He said, we get paid to do, not try. He was talking about finishers. I've been piecing to, I don't know if y'all seen him talking about finishers before the season right next to Kyle, but it's just the whole vibe is off. The marriage looks like it's splintering, and I'm here for it. Hey, I don't know if we're going to tank to get rid of Kyle. I don't know if the players are giving up to get rid of Kyle or get Hunter from Colorado, but buckle up.
Time to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Hope I get away with it. Oh, da doo-dah day.
Hey,
that was pretty sketchy.
The Smitty said every Gen Z thinks Super Bowls are easy to win. It's not that I think Super Bowls are easy to win. I'm not saying that, but if you're blowing 10-point leads or blowing leads in the Super Bowl, or like doing the same thing over and over again and finding the same ways to lose over and over again, whether it be in a Super Bowl, whether it might be in an NFC Championship game, in big moments, if you're finding ways to lose over and over and over again, there's something wrong with that, right? Because that obviously means you aren't improving or learning. So Yeah, that's just me.
I mean, was this the worst loss? Was this the worst loss versus like, because I know we were banged up in penalties, but one thing about penalties, mistakes, interceptions, fumbles, that those things are going to happen for every single team.
Yeah.
Every single team are going to go, majority of every single week, every single team is going to have mistakes, injury. This is the NFL. It's freaking brutal. And then when it's those close games, especially as lopsided on paper as this game appears to be, maybe the 49ers are overrated and we've all been fooled. But hey, you seen the title? It said frauds. Who freaking knows how good the 49ers really are? Because look at Jawan Jennings. We thought, none of us expected him to explode like that. And I mean, it kind of came down to effort. Like he wanted it more than the other. It kind of came down to a mentality of I'm going to win. I'm going to catch this. And you really don't know if that guy's capable of that unless you put him on the damn field. So Cowing could be that guy. Shit, for all we know, our best receivers could be Jawan Jennings, Slick Rick, and freaking Cowing. Especially matched up with Brock. I think that needs to be in consideration too. Who pairs up with who, but we'll see.
Are y'all ready to hit the next topic real quick? All right, final topic before we hit the week 4 preview. I was gonna ask y'all originally whether y'all think the season's over, but nobody thinks the season's over out there. I unless correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of us think the season's over. But my question is, one, do you think the 49ers are frauds? Yes or no, or why not? And two, do you think, looking at this team, the way that it's, the season has played out and the way that this team has played, through 3 weeks, do you think this Niners team is really capable of winning a Super Bowl this year and really rallying and even if they go on a win streak, do you think the way that so far the season has started with the injuries and, blowing a lead against the Rams, losing to the Vikings, the NFC is definitely not getting any easier. Do you think this Niners team is capable of going back to the Super Bowl again? Or even winning?
We can absolutely get on a run. I mean, last year we lost 3 straight games. Moody missed a couple of kicks. But we can definitely get back there. Are we frauds right now? Hell yeah. I mean, the best players on the team or the highest paid players aren't performing to what we're used to seeing. You look at Trent, you look at Bosa, you look at BA. I think they should share a lot of the blame, including the coaching staff. But hopefully we get some guys back. Hopefully, Pearsall comes back. We'll see if he even gets on the field. We know how Shanahan feels about rookies. Greenlaw may be coming back middle of the year, maybe end of the year. Who the hell knows with CMC? But it just starts with one game. I mean, it's still super early. It's only week 3. I mean, you look across the NFL, what the Jaguars got blown out tonight, Monday Night Football. The Bengals are 0-3. The Raiders lost at home to the resurgence of the Red Rifle with the Carolina Panthers. So any given Sunday, man, you never really know in this league. Teams are supposed to win, they're favored to win, and they don't. This was a tough game. We mentioned it earlier last week. I think Kelts mentioned it. Hey, when you see a ravaged dog or you see a dog that's looking for their last bite, they're going to be super aggressive. They're going to be hungry. They have nothing to lose. The Rams played that game like they had nothing to lose. Like who the hell does a fake punt? And it worked. The Rams wanted it more. I think that's kind of what it proved. The Rams did not want to go 0-3, and they wanted it more, but we can definitely get back. Just takes one game to get us back. We got we'll talk about the game, but yeah, we can definitely go back to the Super Bowl. We have obviously yet to hit our stride, but it just takes one game at a time.
With this defensive line versus it would take like some major, we would have to get lucky with bringing in someone or I don't know. But with this defensive line and the Detroit Lions offensive line, I think they would manhandle us. Because this year they were manhandling us. Last year they were manhandling us. It would be worse this year, I feel like, or the Packers. Anyone with a solid. And another thing, I think Forrester was talking all this stuff about how great freaking Brendel is. And it's like, is how much delusion is in the locker room? Debo thinks we've been the best team for 5 freaking years. Forrester has been a stand-up dude with honesty to us. And then the one time we talk about his precious Brendel, he was like, hey, man, he's the greatest thing freaking alive. Hey, he's the quickness, the intelligence, the experience, all these things. Like, what about the anchor? Dude's getting pushed back and knocked on his ass every other like freaking play. What about that, bro? Like the quickness, the intelligence, all this shit don't matter if you're on the ground. Like, what the hell's going? Like, are these dudes kind of just blind to the fact? Are they just kind of doing that to protect their players? Like, because there needs to be
They're
some
protecting the
honesty.
players.
There needs to be honesty because Kittle goes and talks about Kyle Shanahan is so brutally honest to him, and but it just feels like there's contradiction met with like a little lie, and it comes out to be a little different. And it just feels like a little game of telephone, and it feels like it's starting to seep into the locker room. It's kind of like a couple of guys are paid, don't really care. A couple of guys like Jawan and Brock are like, nah, we really freaking love this game. Like, hey, let's go ball out today. Hey, everybody else want to lag and not be Hey, so I think we're gonna see some shifting, and yeah, that's it. I'm done ranting.
With the Forrester Brendel thing, I saw that conference, and basically what I got from it is Forrester said like Brendel's our best guy because the people behind him stink. That's what I got out of it, and that's
But they
on
ain't
Kyle. That's
investing.
on John.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like who are we bringing in to compete, right? I mean, Ben Barch,
Moody,
free agent. Drake Nugent, undrafted free agent.
where's
Like
Plateau at?
they
Where,
want
where the
they
hell's
want
Plateau?
Zakel to be this utility offense. Zakel sucks. What are we doing? Like he can't even block guys in the preseason. Like what are we doing here? But are the Niners frauds? No. I'm gonna say no. But here's the thing though, man. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And the Niners aren't getting better. So I'll say that. And it feels like this team's getting complacent, right? I'm not seeing the motivation. I just feel like we've kind of peaked, and I mean we've peaked. It's like we're trying to just hold steady and maintain that while other teams are getting better and better. So that's the frustrating part. You're getting better, you're getting worse, and right now we ain't getting better.
Facts.
Listen, y'all. I'm gonna say this, and Niners fans ain't gonna like it, but I don't think the Niners are frauds. I just don't think this team is gonna win a Super Bowl as long as Kyle's head coach. And even if Kyle leaves, at this point, Kyle has had so many opportunities that like this team is only getting older. This team has already had plenty of injuries so far. Like it's not like Baller said, like look at the team like the Packers or even like the Eagles that just added Saquon. There's younger teams in the NFC that have young players that are talented that have room to improve. Young quarterbacks in the NFC. Like the Niners are kind of getting like I said, they're getting older, and even just looking at Shanahan and some of his tendencies, right? Like Smitty said, like Kyle Shanahan chokes, he could fix that. But it's been 3 Super Bowls where he's choked, and like NFC Championship games where he's choked. Like he could fix that, sure, but does he want to fix that? Like, nah. Kyle thinks he's the smartest guy in every room he walks into. And that's the thing. When you think about it, if Kyle thinks like that and he thinks he's the smartest and the best ever, isn't that going to reflect on the players also? Because you look at Debo, who's out here acting like they've won, they're like the Chiefs, that they've won back-to-back Super Bowl rings. And like, isn't that going to reflect on the players? Except for a few like Fred and other guys that are like, we haven't won anything yet. Like, we got to, be locked in and serious. But besides that, like, Debo's out here acting like we won stuff. Ayuk and some of these guys want money. Like, I'm not saying that they don't want to get paid, but like they don't deserve to be paid. But like this team, I think, has hit its peak, and I think that as long as Kyle Shanahan is here, this team, like time and time again, has shown us that they can win games in the regular season. They can rally, but are they ever able to get it done when it actually matters most in the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship game? No, Kyle freezes. He chokes. It's been shown time and time again. I don't care if the Niners go 15-2 and they win all 15 games. I know what's going to happen to Kyle Shanahan if he has to go up against Spagnuolo in the Super Bowl, or against the Vikings in the playoffs and Brian Flores. Like, I don't trust Kyle Shanahan in that situation. Like, no, I really don't. Yeah, I'm not a believer. I don't think this team are frauds. I just don't think this team is good enough to win a Super Bowl. And even if Kyle leaves, I'm not saying fire Kyle and this problem is solved, but this roster is getting older, and it's becoming an older roster, and guys are getting injured constantly, like Trent Williams. Who knows how long his body's going to hold up? Who knows if Debo's going to be on this team next year? You have a whole bunch of contract issues to figure out going into next year. Even if you get rid of Kyle, will you have the team to go out and try to win another Super Bowl, even if you bring in another head coach? I don't necessarily know. It's getting older. It's getting more expensive. Yeah, I'm not a believer. I think the Niners, as sad as it is, I think the Niners go down as one of those teams that were really, really talented, but that were just never able to win a Super Bowl. Kind of like the Buffalo Bills, even though they haven't made it to 4 in a row, but like a Buffalo Bills type team where they had an electric offense, they had some good players, but they just weren't ever able to get it done.
Hey, you know what? I think if the 49ers ever did switch coaches, like let's say it did happen this year, man, we seen someone like D'Amico Ryan go to the Houston Texans, and I mean revamp that thing in a quick, fast, and in a hurry. If you got a young, innovative Ben Johnson, whoever it is, there's a few good candidates out there. I've been researching. I mean, hey, if you want to go old school route, this might be the one time in NFL history where a guy like Bill Belichick is open. This might be the only time in NFL history where a Tom Brady, you get to hearing, I've listened to Tom Brady quite a bit more than just broadcast, just peeping out some of the stuff that he's got to talk about football. He seems like, hearing him talk, I'm like, this dude wants a coach. This dude is going to be coaching sooner than later. He was denied to come back to his childhood team twice by Kyle Shanahan. How ironic would that be in the future if some shit, it sounds wild, right? It sounds wild when I'm like, the Rams are going to win 27-24, but sometimes some wild shit happens. I think it could be a way quicker revamp than people would think. I think people think if Kyle's gone, oh my man, it could take 3-4 year rebuild. We could go back to 2004. Oh man, do you not remember Chip Kelly? Like, no, I don't want Tom Sula. I want I want someone who can finish, like John Lynch said. And who's the greatest finisher of all time? Belichick, Brady. Yeah, or you could go for a young dude who looks like he could bring nothing but fresh air. Ben Johnson, and who's the other guy that's slipping my mind? McDonald from Baltimore. The enemies out there at
He's
Washington.
not. He's the Seahawks head coach, my friend. That's why they're 3-0 right now. McDonald's is doing his thing down in Seattle.
Hey, there and who would not want to come to California? I know this is the taxes. I think it gets overblown once you make a certain amount, but who would not want to come to Cali with this squad with Brock Purdy, who's going to be here for 10 more years, with Jordan Mason, who could be here for 10 more years, with Fred Warner still on the freaking team. This team, don't think it's going to be crashing down. And you don't think Denise York and Dr. John York ain't like, hey, Jed York, they said if they make that one Super Bowl move for Hargrave, you told them, hey, this better be a pick that's worth it. That was one of the most vocalized I've heard John York or Jed York talk like, yeah, I just made sure I want to tell him, hey, this pick better be worth it in this move, specifically on Hargrave, probably because of a Buckner and an Armstead. Look at what Armstead did for the community, and it's kind of like they chose Hargrave over Armstead. It's getting kind of old. The well for me has been run dry on Shanahan.
I think they had to move off of Armstead. I mean, right? I mean, he wasn't worth what he was making, so they had to make a change. We talked about that earlier in the show. When a guy isn't performing, it's time to get rid of him. Like, and that's what they did with Armstead. No, but you mentioned, I think Mina mentioned, has Kyle or is Kels, has Kyle gotten better or has he changed anything? Right. So it seems like this philosophy of always getting defensive line, it seems like it has worked. We've been successful. We haven't been able to get over the top, but maybe they need to start investing more in the offensive line. I know we paid Trent, But outside of that, you guys have mentioned we're getting day 3 picks and hoping they're good. Pooney, he seems to be good. Banks is good, but are they watching the film? Are they
How
seeing
much more
Brando get
talent
put
do
on
you
his
need,
ass?
Jay?
All the trenches need to be more solidified. All the trenches, because
McKivitt,
everything's getting.
Brando?
Hey, one name we did not mention, Jair Brown. I mean, he got burnt back-to-back weeks, man. I
Yeah.
feel like all of us got a little, maybe I don't know what it feels like. It's hard. I don't know.
But-
Jair
Yeah.
just got a certain old school spirit about him. So I kind of like root for Jair. You know, I don't want to be too hard yet because I like Jair, you know. But hey, man, it feels like the 49ers are going for the weapons. They're picking Latu, Slick Rick. They're picking Moody. Who else have they picked in the draft? Renardo Green. I could keep going through a lot of the first or second or third round picks. Ty Davis Price, Trey Sermon. All those picks could have been in the trenches.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
Danny Gray, and majority of those guys aren't here no more or aren't contributing, or Kyle won't put them on the fit.
Yeah.
Oh,
but that's
Pooney,
another thing.
they did hit on Pooney.
That's another thing Eric mentioned. Well, Brendel's not that good, but he's the best we have right now. And that's what it seems like with like Jair Brown. Is he the best we have right now? Probably. That's why he's probably going to still be out
when
there.
I bring it back to Kyle, kind of
Yeah.
like, but Kyle created these potential problems that are problems now.
Yeah.
And then
Thank
we
you,
blame
Coach.
them, or we blame the other coaches, or we blame the other players. But it's like, who created these narratives? It's a pretty
Who
freaking
gave Colton McKivitz an extension?
it's a pretty tricky system that almost kind of protects Kyle at every other turn. And the next time you take another turn, it's you know. But eventually, John York and Denise and Jed. Hey, you know, eventually it happens. It did.
I think they're honestly. I think they're happy. Before Kyle.
Pleased. Yeah, they're pleased.
I mean, I think they're very pleased by the amount of money the team is making. But I mean, maybe they thought, hey, McGlinchey, or sorry, not McGlinchey, McKivitz. He started all last year. Maybe he'll take that next step. Sometimes you do have to believe in a player that he'll take that next step, that he will get better, and sometimes they don't. And that's part of being a professional. That's part of everything in life. Either you get better or you get worse, like Eric mentioned earlier. And unfortunately, yeah, this team isn't really getting better that we've seen through the first 3 weeks. So it's going to be interesting versus New England because they're definitely not going to lay down. So,
well, speaking of New England, let's move into week 4 game picks and game preview. Niners, Patriots. Is it a 10? It's not a 10 o'clock game. I think it's a 1 o'clock game. If I'm not mistaken, it's on
Niners
Fox.
are home. Yeah, 105.
105, right? 105 game against the Patriots. Let's kick it to Baller first. Who you got winning this game? What are the keys to the game, and what's going to be the score? Please predict the win, because, like, you know, every time Kels or someone predicts a loss, it ends up somehow coming to fruition. So
I'll tell you what, if the Niners lose to the Patriots, I will call this team frauds. I will. And I will say the Super Bowl chances are done. Like, the Patriots they're one of the worst teams in the NFL, right? They looked abysmal last week. The Patriots are not good. They're depleted of talent. Niners are going to win this game. I think it's going to be 33-13. I think it's going to be a butt whooping. That being said, you know, when you are thinking about the Patriots, I know Ramondre Stevenson didn't do ish last game, but they're going to want to run the ball with Ramondre. I mean, Hunter Henry's there. He had a big game in week 2. Demario Douglas. Actually, I kind of sneaky like some Demario Douglas, but that being said, Niners got to flat out win this game, or it's going to be full-fledged panic mode.
You be hitting the panic button, Bay Area Baller? Hitting that panic button?
I'm gonna
be smashing that panic button until that thing shatters.
Watch Baller say the Patriots are a depleted football team, and then somehow, some way, the Niners end up losing to the Patriots. Somehow, some way. Like, I don't want to see it, but if I do see it, I know I'll be entertained on Monday night to hear Ballers opinions on the game.
You might not see me. You might not see me Monday night. Patriots win that game and beat the Niners. You might not see me. Just please check on me though.
It's
Are
time to
the
burn the
Patriots-
gear. If we lose to the Patriots, it's time to burn the gear.
I love it.
It'll be a full mutiny for sure. No, but the Patriots aren't going to lay down. This is going to be a close game. Ramondre Stevenson, Eric mentioned, man, they're going to run the ball, and the Niners have struggled to stop the run. We did okay against Kyron, but he still had 3 rushing touchdowns against us. We're going to be without Hargrave, obviously, so that means we're going to have a reserve in there. Kevin Givens, the other brother's name, whose name is escaping me,
Elliott.
but Elliott. Yep. So they're going to have to step up and be better, and maybe they can be against the run. Who knows? We'll see. DeMario, he could present problems to us, especially he's a quick, shifty receiver, and those type of receivers always seem to surprise the Niners cornerbacks for whatever reason. The Patriots are coming off of playing on Thursday, September 19th. They will have 10 days off, so it's like a mini bye. They still got to fly to Santa Clara, but I think this is going to be a close game. I don't think, from what I've seen from the Niners, losing to Minnesota, losing to the Rams, there's no game where I'm like, oh yeah, we're just gonna win that. All we gotta do is show up. Hopefully the players see that they can't just show up, and just because the SF is on their chest, that means the other team's gonna lay down, because that's not what's gonna happen. I'll take the Niners to win. I'll say 24-20, but I think obviously I think it's gonna be a close game.
Man, who is better right now? The Rams that we just seen or the Patriots? It's like it feels like, oh, there's no way it could happen again.
I'm
And,
gonna say divisional games. They feel like these teams know each other really well.
McVay and Stafford, did win a Super Bowl together. They know us, and oh man, Jimmy was over there smiling on the sidelines. What world? What a year, 2024, huh? But besides that, damn Jimmy, man, he got the bag and dipped, and sucks. But anyways, yeah, I think it's we started this thing off, man. We was talking about iron sharpens iron and the good old Proverbs 27:17, and so I'm going to make that my score. The Niners are going to bounce back. I originally thought it could be a beat down 35-10, something like that, but yeah, it's gonna be closer. I almost want to say we're going to score a lot of touchdowns. I feel like the Niners might take it out on them. Kyle might, show us his glorious bag all in one game and then do some shit to piss us off for the rest of the struggled wins we might get. But yeah, 27-17, 49ers bouncing back. But yeah, they're going to fight. They're going to fight just like the Rams did, but unfortunately they don't got McVay.
I think Kelts froze for a second. Who you got, Amin? Who's winning?
Kelts, you back? I can see you moving a
Yeah,
little
I'm
bit.
back.
All right.
I'm back.
Oh, who I got in this game?
Yeah.
If let's put it like this: if we lose, I want Baller to start off next week's show with how when the Bears lost, was it the Cardinals when the Cardinals lost to the Bears? I want you to start off with the Patriots who we thought we were, who the Patriots are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. That's what I want you to start off with.
You can't.
Baller,
you can't do that because that was said about the Bears who were like awesome, and the Cardinals were at Denny Green. They were in that game, but the Bears were awesome, but the Cardinals blew it at the end. So that's where
I get it, but the Patriots we know they're bad. Awesome. We know what they are. The Patriots, we know what they are. So if we lose to them, I mean, keys to the game, Kyle, be smart about it. Run the football, be smart. Don't really do anything too crazy. Just play good football. You're a much more talented team. You're a better football team. The Patriots, like Baller said, they're depleted. Go out and get the W. I hope it's a blowout, but if it's comfort, if it's a little bit of a close game, I don't expect the Patriots to, go down without a fight. They're definitely going to put up a fight against the 49ers. They're definitely going to have some heart. in that game, but just go on and get a W. I'm gonna say 24-14. But I could see the Niners putting up like a 40 piece or a 37 piece against the Patriots and just ball out. But as of right now, with the way this team is playing, I don't know. So I'm gonna say the Niners get it done 24-14, but I don't think it'll be a blowout, even though this team is much more talented and better.
Yeah, you got to go for the kill shot. Did y'all see the drive where we went for it on 4th and 1, and then in
He's talking about that fourth, and then it was like Mason got stuffed by the
Go for it again.
linebacker. Yeah,
Right.
he went. Yeah,
I would have loved to seen a fullback in front of Mason on that play. Like, why not do I formation on that play instead?
yeah. I do it in Madden in the red zone all the time. We're on like a 3rd and 1. Get your fullback running. Let him pick up the first. It's like,
Yeah.
Kyle, play some Madden. Kyle, you haven't played Madden since college. Get on some Madden, bro. Like you.
What did? Yeah, go. I was gonna say, what do you guys think of? What do you guys think of Juice Check pushing Purdy and Purdy doing a quarterback sneak?
I'm fine with it.
I'm cool with it. I
cool
got no
with it.
issues with it.
Cool.
But like,
We just
yeah.
never. I've never seen that. I think this is the first game they've done quarterback sneak. I like it.
Hey, do what you got to do and stay
Yeah.
healthy.
Yep.
Is that all we got?
Yeah, I think, hey, Purdy bounced back, man, just to see the athleticism. And I think I heard the announcer harping on him, all his theatricals and all this stuff. And I heard a few other people, oh, man, just like every time he ran around, something positive happened, even if it was 3 yards. Like every single time. I don't think there was one time where he ran around and it was a negative play or he got smashed on or, kind of unnecessarily. So I just had to throw that in there too.
Hey, my key is just play sound football. Like, try to get less than. Can we do 4 penalties or less in the game? Like, don't beat ourselves. And yeah, just play sound football. Obviously, JP is going to run the ball. Maybe maybe he's just ratcheting up. Like, I see BA. I think he is getting better each game. So maybe he'll have another 10 target game. Maybe he'll have 8 catches this time instead of 5,
Maybe he'll only drop 1 ball instead of 2 balls.
Yeah.
Maybe get off the pod, BA, and get on the jugs machine.
No, he doesn't need to. We've been the best squad for the last decade, man.
I couldn't believe it when he took it up an extra notch. Like Debo, man, we've been the best team for a while. He said, man, we are the best team ever assembled. I mean, he used the word assembled. Like, bro, I start thinking about all the teams in NFL history, and like, are they? Hey, there's a difference between delusion and confidence. and hey, man, I want you to be as confident as ever, but you got to be real to yourself, man. Like, or it is a fraud.
Yeah, you got to back it up. I mean, you could say that, but what do you do when you're on the field? Like, yeah.
I keep on skipping. Apologize, y'all.
All right. Any last final comments and any final comments or thoughts before we get on out of here?
Bang, bang.
I need to hear Eric's key to victory. That's what I need to hear before we go.
I mean, the Patriots offense stinks. So it's you gotta
stop. You're gonna jinx us, baller. You're gonna hit us with the Celts curse.
No,
like
I'm not.
That's
Niners,
all Kyle.
Niners are gonna win this game by double digits.
All right.
The defense has to step up. The Patriots offense sucks. They cannot score more than 20 points. Like, if Patriots put up 20 or more, it's embarrassing. I'm putting Nick Sorensen. Like, I'm not putting Sorensen on the hot seat yet. Patriots put up 20 something on you. I'm gonna light the fire under Sorensen's seat. Right.
This seems like the perfect game to say, hey, just play not to lose. But nah. You go and show that you are a dominant team and this is a lesser team and take that, take it. Don't go up by, hey, if you have the opportunity to go up by 21, 28, do it. Don't just sit there at 14 and let a weaker team hang around, because we just seen what can happen if you let them hang around. It's the NFL.
Yep. Any final thoughts from you, Jay?
Nah, we good, man. Appreciate everyone tuning in to the stream tonight.
Yep.
Appreciate
you, Blue True.
Much love.
And can y'all want to pull up Niner Sickness's comment, because I agree with them completely 100%. Go Lakers, baby.
Now it's time to end the show.
Oh, do we got the hell no? Yeah, do we got the
Did we? We lost Amin.
We lost him, man. It must have been his internet connection.
Hey, thanks for hosting, Amin. You know,
That was a
appreciate
job.
everyone who tuned in. We'll be back next week. Niners will be back to 500. Okay, I'm speaking it into existence.
Absolutely.
But hey, appreciate all y'all. That's
Appreciate
right.
it.
Show them Celts. Hey, catch y'all next time.
See you next time. Peace.